Do you let people walk all over you? Have past relationships left you with low self-esteem or low confidence? Is your biggest struggle with others saying no to them? If the answer to all of these questions is a big fat yes, then this video is for you. So stick around to the end because the last rule of setting boundaries in this video is the one that you're going to need most. Here's rule number one that you absolutely need to remember and that some people struggle or just don't quite get. Boundaries are not your enemy. Boundaries are not rude, and boundaries are necessary. Repeat after me. Boundaries are not rude. You need boundaries to create and maintain a healthy and fulfilling relationship. And according to a YouGov survey, 57% of Americans report that having boundaries in personal relationships is important to them. Most people struggle with the concept of boundaries out of a fear that creating them will push their partner away and make them feel or seem unlovable. Listen to me. If your partner truly loves you, they will respect your boundaries. Boundaries don't ruin relationships, they protect them. Now that you know about why boundaries matter, let's talk about when to set them. Here's rule number two. Set boundaries early. Because when you like someone, it's easy to let little things slide. You don't want to seem fussy, right? But that's where the problem starts. Let's say on the first date, they make you a cup of coffee, but they put a little too much cream and a little too much sugar for your taste in your cup. But you don't say anything because you don't want to seem unappreciative or rude. Now, every time they make you a cup of coffee, it's that overly sweet version because they think that's what you like, even though deep down, you hate it. If you don't speak up early, they'll assume that you're fine with everything. And when you do finally speak up, it leads to a conflict because they had no idea you felt this way in the beginning. Why? Because now you're trying to push back and they've already gotten comfortable with how things are. And that applies to most things you're uncomfortable with. So always set your boundaries early on. Be honest about what you like and don't like from the very beginning. This isn't about being difficult. This is about being real. Okay, so you set your boundaries early on, but how do you communicate them clearly? Well, that's where rule number 3 comes in. Be assertive when setting your boundaries. When setting boundaries, don't be vague or wishy-washy. For example, don't say, oh, I don't really eat out much, but I guess I could do it just this once, but takeout food doesn't really suit me, but I guess we can do it together. If the reality is that you never order takeout or you just prefer to eat home-cooked meals because ordering takeout really doesn't suit you and upsets your stomach, then you should say that. Be clear and assertive. Here's how you can say it instead. I'd love to have dinner with you, but I prefer to have home-cooked meals instead because that's what works best for me. Or if you're up for it, you can come over to my place and I'll make a home-cooked meal for the both of us. Whatever you prefer. See, that's not rude at all. You've told them your boundary and you've given an option for them to make it work. You're being fair and honest, not difficult. The key here is to not give exceptions or concessions when making your boundary. If you bend the rules at the start, it can lead to confusion later on. Be firm but respectful, because if your partner values you, they'll respect your boundaries. Now, before moving on to the last rule, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And don't forget to click the like button if you've liked the video so far. Now, rule number 4. Don't over-explain or justify yourself. I have seen this a lot. Do you ever feel the need to explain why you're setting a boundary? Like, you need to give someone an essay to make the boundary valid? Well, here's the thing. Over-explaining makes your boundaries weaker. Why? Because when you over-explain, it sounds like you're unsure about your boundary. And if you don't sound confident, why would anyone else respect it? For example, imagine someone asks you to join a last-minute dinner, but you already had plans to rest and recharge. Instead of saying, I can't make it tonight, you go into a full-blown speech. Oh, I had a long day and I've been feeling really tired lately. I don't think I can come, but I hope that's okay with you. What happens? Now, instead of making a boundary, it sounds like you're asking the other person for permission. You've just opened the door for undue pressure, guilt tripping, and negotiation. Here's a better way to handle it. Thanks for the invite, but I can't make it tonight. Let's schedule something for another time. No need to explain yourself. You've said no politely and clearly. Period. When you stop over explaining, you show confidence and self respect. You're allowed to honor your needs without explaining them to anyone else because that's self care, not selfishness. The people who value you won't need your reasons because they'll respect you and your boundaries because you set them. So remember, a clear boundary doesn't need a backstory. Just say what you need and let it stand on its own. Now you know. Setting boundaries isn't rude, it's necessary. Be assertive, be clear, and don't feel the need to over-explain. The people who care about you will respect them. And if they don't, well, maybe they're just not your people. What boundary will you set today? Let me know in the comments section below. And don't forget to share this video with the people you know who need to learn how to set boundaries the most. I'm Jourdan Travers. I'm the Clinical Director of Awake Therapy, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.